What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel. It's the live starting 11 prediction for tomorrow's trip to Fir Park, where we face Motherwell, but also we're going to talk about the transfer news. The deadline is closing in on Celtic, and there's been some bad news today in terms of targets, particularly in the striker area, and also still no word on the left back. So we'll get through the team first of all. You can see it's on your screen already. We'll get that out of the way, and then we'll focus on the transfer news, which is probably what most of you are here to talk about. I think it's the big point of debate online, and I think we're all panicking given that right now the squad is weaker than where it was when we started this January transfer window. So Motherwell tomorrow, they've obviously lost their manager in the last week or so. Stuart Kettlewell resigned due to some personal abuse that was affecting his family. So Stevie Frail's taking charge of them tomorrow. What impact that will have on the game, I don't know. Will they have a bit extra motivation? They're off the back of 2 bad defeats, so I suppose that will give them a bit of an extra edge. And we know that they always raise their game to play against Celtic. The only slight concern for us is the away form. I think it's 1 win the last 4, 2 draws, 1 defeat. So we just need to tidy up that away form, and I think tomorrow the manager's going to go relatively strong with the team. So in goals, Casper, who didn't train on Friday, and that had everybody talking for a couple of hours before the manager confirmed that he just had an extra day off. He made a bit of a joke out of it, Brendan Rodgers. I don't think there's anything wrong with him. He made some good saves the other night, and we needed him at points in the game to keep us in it in the second half, and he did that. I think tomorrow, obviously, have a much quieter afternoon, you would hope, than he did at Villa Park. Right back Johnston, I neglected to mention his goal line clearance at 2-0 when Watkins is one-on-one with Schmeichel. That keeps it from going 3-0, and then 5-10 minutes later it's 2 each. That was a key intervention at that time in the game. I thought other than that, he was okay. Really difficult up against the quality Aston Villa have got. And I think we just got done in the second half. And that key moment for the third goal where Scales has went away into press Rodgers and left that gap. And that was the thing that really gave them control in the second half. I'm going Carter Vickers back at centre half. Trusty alongside him. I thought Trusty defended well in parts the other night. There was times in the second half where he was one-on-one against Watkins, and you feared the worst at times, but he actually dealt with it relatively well. I think he was too deep in the build-up to the first goal, where the ball gets played down the left-hand side. He was sort of out of line with the rest of the defence, but I don't think he had a bad performance all round, really. Taylor got the assist for Ida's first goal as well. Again, always difficult he was up against Leon Bailey, and there's a couple of times as well, one-on-one, where he squared them up, and I was fearing the worst, and he dealt with it relatively well. But again, left back is that key area where we've only got Greg Taylor now. Vaille's gone, and it really is a position we need the club to go and strengthen in the next 2 or 3 days. We'll come back to that when we look at the transfer news in just a moment. Midfield, I'm going same 3, McGregor, Engels, Hatate. I think the manager might see fit that the game on Wednesday against Dundee is a more suitable time to make rotations in midfield. I think given the few games where we've looked shaky away from home, he'll want to go strong in that area of the pitch tomorrow. Don't get me wrong, we could see McCowan, we could see Bernardo, they're all capable, but I've got a feeling he'll just stick with McGregor, Hatate, Engels. And I'm going Kuhn right hand side, Dyson Maeda back in from his suspension on Wednesday on the left, and Ida through the middle. I think those 2 goals are huge for Adam Ida, absolutely massive. It should do his confidence a world of good. It should really kickstart his season, to be honest with you. He really needed that. He'd gone 14 games without a goal, and I think getting 2 goals at that level on that stage is really going to help him. Hopefully he can get on the score sheet again tomorrow, and then really just kick on from there. And we're in the situation now where we are absolutely dependent on Adam Ida as the sole striker at the club. I know that Dyson can go and play through there, and he does so for Japan. And it'll be interesting to get your thoughts on that. Is that going to be how we move forward now if we can't get a striker in the door in the next few days? I accept that he plays there for Japan, but I think we really need another striker in the door regardless of Maeda's versatility. I think on the left-hand side, we're probably going to see Jota back in the hoops tomorrow, which I'm buzzing about. He has been confirmed as a number 7. Lewis Palma has gone to Olympiacos. That's exciting. It's brilliant to see a player like Jota have the number 7. I think ever since Larsson left, there's been a few players who have wore number 7 and haven't really done it justice. And maybe we put way too much weight on that as supporters, but I'm certainly buzzing to see Jota wear number 7, and I hope he's back in the team tomorrow. On the bench, undoubtedly he'll start on the bench, but I think he will play some part in the game. And like I say, we've got this game, Dundee on Wednesday, Wraith Rovers in the Cup next week, and I think then he's going to have to come straight in and start against Bayern Munich in that first leg playoff. So he's going to have to get up to speed really, really quickly. And I just can't wait to see him back. Hopefully he can have a nice cameo tomorrow. Right, let's talk about the transfer news today then. First of all, Mathias Kvistgaarden. The news is that Celtic's pursuit of him is over because the talks have broken down with Brondby. We've been pursuing Kvistgaarden for the best part of 3 windows now. It's at least 12 months that his name has been linked with us. And I think it has this ominous feeling that it's gone on for so long, and now this window is the prime opportunity to get him, because we've sold our best striker, we've sold our first choice striker in Kyogo, and this seemed like the time to go and bring him in. And it looks like the news, the reports today from Sky and elsewhere, is that the clubs are too far apart on valuation. Now, we knew that Brondby were looking for around 10 million quid for Kvistgaarden. Even some reports suggesting it might be as high as 13 million. And Celtic obviously find themselves in a position where they're not willing to go to that price to get him. And Brendan Rodgers has said this month the club were aware of Kyogo's situation. They knew that he wanted to move on. They knew that they were going to have to replace him, and that work's been going on to get them in a good place for that. This doesn't look good for the club. If Kvistgaarden's the number 1 target to replace him and they can't get a deal done, and now it looks like we're on to backup options in terms of loan moves, and Kelechi Iheanacho is another player who's been linked with us today. Now, this morning, this looked like a story that could really gather pace. He's obviously worked with Brendan Rodgers before. He's been at Sevilla. I think his career has sort of stumbled recently. You might remember him being at Man City before he moved to Leicester, and he had some really good spells under Brendan Rodgers, even good spells as an impact sub for Man City, where he did score goals for them, but I think his career has just come off the boil recently. He's now at Sevilla. We were linked with a loan move this morning, but this afternoon it looks like Middlesbrough are now leading the race to sign Iheanacho, and Celtic, after making contact yesterday, I believe, there's been no further progress, and it looks like Middlesbrough are now in pole position to secure his signature. So let us know in the comments where you think that leaves us. Is there any other striker links that you've heard that you like? Is there any players that you think we should be going for in that position? Please let us know. I'm going to get to some of your comments and questions just now. We'll start with Chris Quinn. Shocking that Kyogo went 10 days ago and we haven't got anyone in since. No other team at this level would let their main centre forward go without having a replacement in the bag. As I say, that's the big problem for the club. The optics of this, how it looks, it doesn't look good, because Kyogo's been such a key play for us over a number of years, and it's been clear because, for one, Brendan Rodgers has admitted so, but also with the change agency in the summer and the different links to numerous clubs, I think we all knew the writing was on the wall with Kyogo. So the club, yes, should have done a better job, because now we're in a position where the window closes on Monday night. So we've got, this is Saturday evening, it's tomorrow and Monday, and that's it. Monday's the only real full business day. They've got to sort this, and I think losing a player like Kyogo, who's so key in a certain position in the pitch, we should have had a replacement lined up. And I think we should have been at least been in a position where if you can't, okay, maybe you can't make a 10, 12 million pound deal for a striker while Kyogo's still here, but I would like to think you've got to get to the stage where you're far enough down the line with Brondby, if that's who it is, to know that a deal can be agreed and know where that figure's going to land, and that you're comfortable with that. I think in terms of the cards that Brondby hold in the negotiation, when they know that your best striker is already gone, and you're sitting on a ton of cash. Again, this is similar to what we had in the summer. And admittedly, some people have said we overpaid for Ida at £9 million, but that's the position we've been in. And I think the club's still in, obviously, it's still in a really good financial position. Brondby know that. Brondby have their star player who they don't want to let go. And now Celtic can't meet the asking price. That leaves us in a terrible position. Because as I say, with 2 days to go, if we don't replace Kyogo, there is no doubt that we will finish this window weaker than we started it. And that's a huge problem for us. Another comment there, John Paul second, a couple of injuries and we're screwed. That's the problem. Think about if Adam Ida picks up an injury. He hasn't played every game this season. Adam Ida, he did come off. He looked like he'd vanished race the other night. I think he also was feeling his calf a wee bit when he had that shot at the near post that Martinez saved. He did sort of pull up and then he went off to be replaced by Daniel Cummins. And then we'd be on to Maeda as the only striker. That would be out of position. And I know we've got Jota there now who's going to want to play games. And so maybe freeing up that position by putting Maeda through the middle would allow for that. But I don't think that's a solution. I don't think Maeda through the middle, albeit he can do it, as I said at the top of the video, I don't think that's the way that we want to move forward. Liam Haggerty saying Jota on the left, Maeda up front. Stop panicking. A lot of you might think that. We know that Maeda can play there. I've just got my doubts about that as a long-term solution. I think it's good to have a backup. It's good to have that option there. But again, it comes back to the fact that we're going to finish this window weaker than we went in if we don't replace Kyogo. I don't think there's really any getting away from that. So Jamie McCowan, the January transfer window is overpriced on players, probably get cheaper in the summer, in my opinion. That could be the case. I think with Kvistgaarden, he's been linked with Frankfurt as well. They obviously just sold Omar Marmoush to Manchester City, he was their star player. So Kvistgaarden was linked with him earlier in the month. I think there might even be more competition for him in the summer. And again, you've got to think about how long can you track a player and see these links window after window. There's got to come a time where it's just not going to happen. I see Ultra Wido comment as well. German and Dutch clubs are in for him now. That's the position that we find ourselves in if we're going to have to wait for the summer. I said it last week and a few days ago. I think if he's the number one target, we really have to get him in because we're going to come to the summer now. Who knows where the future of the likes of Kun, Maeda might be in the summer. And if we don't get a striker in the next couple of days, we're going to have to go into pre-season without one and then again be in this same situation where we're trying to identify the top target, trying to reach a deal, and we always find ourselves in that place where it goes to the last 2 weeks, the last week, the last few days of a window to try and secure your top target. And we don't want to be in that position in the summer because again, we've got a Champions League playoff qualifier to navigate. So I just think it really leaves us open. I think it's risky not to get a striker in, not to replace Kyogo this window. Jamie B, has Tierney definitely signed a pre-contract? We don't know. It's been reported numerous times this month that he's been on the verge of signing it. It hasn't been confirmed by the club yet. I think if all the ducks are aligned, then I think they might make that announcement by the end of the month. I think it would look good for them to announce Tierney on the pre-contract. Not that it would really solve the problems that we have just now. That does link us to left back, and I don't think there's been any new left back links since yesterday's video. Tyrell Malacia from Man U on loan is the only name that's really been linked with us in that position. Again, I think a loan deal, I accept, makes sense in that position because Taylor, his future's uncertain. He has been offered a pre-contract by Dinamo Zagreb, if you're to believe the reports. And obviously with Kieran Tierney coming back in the summer, so to speak, as it stands, then I think a loan deal makes sense for us in the next 4 or 5 months in that position. I think a loan deal is a better option at left back than it is through the middle. I know we had this situation where we brought in Ida on loan through the middle last winter. It was last minute, we were all panicking. Ida came in, did well, we signed him on a permanent basis. You could say that did work out for us, and it might transpire like that this month as well. I understand people's frustration, given that we're here on the 1st of February, with less than 2 days to go, and one less striker than we had at the start of the month. Again, 600 of you with us. Like the stream. Try and get more people on. I'll probably be with you for another 5 minutes before we round up. I'll get more questions and more comments in. Cummings linked with West Ham. Patrick Kerrigan. Good reminder for me. Yes, Daniel Cummings has been linked with West Ham on a pre-contract again. I thought it was really interesting to hear Brendan Rodgers talk about the young players at Celtic yesterday in the press conference. I think he makes a really good point. I think you have to be patient. You have to wait for your opportunity. It's not easy to be a young player at Celtic. It's certainly not a given that you just make it into the first team because you've been a good youth player or because you've been a good B team player. I think the step up in terms of mentality is probably the biggest thing that a player has to deal with, certainly a young player. And I think it might take time for you to one, get the chance, but two, to be ready to deal with the scrutiny and the pressure that comes with playing for Celtic. And Brendan Rodgers also made, I think, a very telling point about agents being in a player's ear, trying to get them moves to here, there and everywhere, where the player might be able to earn more money. It'll certainly be a good deal for the agent if they can make money off it. And you end up with this situation where not a lot of young players have that patience now to be at Celtic, to wait on their opportunity and then take it when it comes along. It was good to see Daniel Cummings get his first team debut the other night. How do I see it playing out? I think if you look at recent history, it would tell you if a Premier League club is interested in him, he's probably going to go there. If it's far enough down the line and they're going to offer him a good contract, and he believes that's the best move for him. And again, there's different people who are around him who may want him to take that move. It could be that he ends up going to West Ham. Again, there's not a lot the club can do about this, I don't think. Are we going to throw Daniel Cummings in to play week in and week out? Probably not. I think he could be in a similar situation to Johnny Kenny, who you look at and you think he can be the third choice striker. He can be that person who plays the odd minutes here and there, plays cup games, builds his career up at Celtic and waits for the opportunity. If a big player gets sold, he moves up in the pecking order. Not a lot of young players want to do that now. And I think that is a big problem for us in terms of trying to keep a hold of these guys, particularly when they end up with Premier League clubs. As their contracts run down, Premier League clubs are after them, given the situation following Brexit and how they can't go after young players from around Europe now. The attention is always on clubs like Celtic for good young players. Thomas Scallon can't see Cummings getting much game time at West Ham if he can't get it at Celtic. That's the key point. We saw this with Ben Doak, who went to Liverpool, and again, you can't turn that down, I suppose, financially probably, even the size of the club Liverpool are. But again, he found it difficult to get game time. He's out on loan at Middlesbrough. That's a decision that these young boys have to make. It's difficult for them, I accept that, but I don't think there's any chance that these young players are going to just be thrown in and week out to play for Celtic, and that's going to be enough to keep them here. I think there's other factors that influence them in terms of that. Chris Gardner, Dewsbury Hall coming on loan from Chelsea. I've got no idea if Chris has just thrown that out there. I know we were very loosely linked with him earlier in the month. What problem would he solve? I don't know. Predominantly a midfield player. Can he play at left back? He might have played at left back sometimes for Leicester over the course of his time there. I don't see that one happening. He'll be on big wages at Chelsea, and again, I just don't think he fulfills that priority for us because it's striker and it's left back. So that's it for this live show. Lots more comments coming in. I can't get to them all. I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow. Hopefully we can see JOTA make his what would be third debut, I suppose, in a Celtic jersey, and let's hope that tomorrow, through tonight and into tomorrow, by the time we come to the full-time reaction after the game, we've got some movement on transfers and we've moved towards getting some of these key positions filled. I think striker is the big one. I know we've got Kenny there. I know there's Cummings, who's a youth player. I know Maeda can go there and play through the middle. I just don't see that being a situation that gives us a stronger squad than we had on the 1st of January. I just don't think you can look at it in that way. That's it for tonight. Like the video. Give us your thoughts below. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We're closing in on 45,000. And as you see, the wee ticker there at the bottom as a bar counting up to 50. So the quicker we can make it to that big 50k, the better. I'll be back with the boys tomorrow outside Fir Park with the full-time reaction. We'll see you then. Cheers.